Thank you for joining me today here on Sword Shield 777. I pray that this message reaches the people that need to hear it. When was the last time you heard, "It's not fair"? Perhaps that familiar phrase was uttered 2 minutes ago by a child, or maybe you can remember saying it yourself not long ago. Most people have a keen sensitivity to how the scales are tipped, especially when we think that we are being treated unfairly. This reading shows us three kinds of brief and unbrief. Abraham and Sarah struggled to believe as three angels repeated another of God's special promises. In contrast, the unbelief of Sodom and Gomorrah was so absolute that the entire population was destroyed. In between stood Lot, a man who seemed to think mainly of himself and who stretched the meaning of the term righteous. Notice how God dealt differently with each one. Look for other lessons on hospitality, not compromising with the world around you, and the dangers of desperation. Was God being unfair to the people of Sodom and Gomorrah? Genesis chapter 19, verses 27 through 28. Actually, God's fairness stands out. 1. He agreed to spare them if only 10 righteous people lived there. Genesis chapter 18, verse 32. 2. He showed great mercy towards Lot, apparently the only man in either city who had any kind of relationship with him. Genesis chapter 19, verse 12. And 3. He showed great patience with Lot, almost forcing him to leave Sodom before destroying the wicked city. Genesis chapter 19, verse 16. Remember God's patience when you are tempted to think He is unfair. All people, even the most godly, deserve His justice. We should be glad that God doesn't direct His justice towards us as He did towards Sodom and Gomorrah. As we grow spiritually, we should find ourselves developing a deeper respect for God because of His anger towards sin, and a deeper love for God because of His patience when we sin. Take time today to reaccount God's act of mercy and love for you. Thank Him for not giving you what you deserve and instead giving you what you don't deserve. Forgiveness and eternal life through Christ. It certainly isn't fair, but isn't that great? Oh wow, that's no way I'm going to do that. Going to be reading Genesis chapter 18, verse 1. The Lord appeared again to Abraham near the oak grove belonging to Mamre. One day Abraham was sitting at the entrance to the tent during the hottest part of the day. I'm going to be reading Genesis chapter 19, verses 15 through 29. At dawn the next morning, the angels became insistent. "Hurry," they said to Lot. "Take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here. Get out right now, or you will be swept away in the destruction of the city." When Lot still hesitated, the angels seized his hand and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters and rushed them to safety outside the city. For the Lord was merciful. When they were safely out of the city, one of the angels ordered, "Run for your lives, and don't look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountains, or you will be swept away." "Oh no, my lord," Lot begged. "You have been so gracious to me and saved my life, and you have shown such great kindness, but I cannot go to the mountains. Disaster would catch up to me there, and I would soon die. See, there is a small village nearby. Please let me go there instead. Don't you see how small it is? Then my life will be saved." "All right," the angel said. "I will grant your request. I will not destroy the little village, but hurry, escape to it, for I can do nothing until you arrive there." This explains why that village was known as Zor, which means little place. Lot reached the village just as the sun was rising over the horizon. Then the Lord rained down fire and burning sulfur from the sky on Sodom and Gomorrah. He utterly destroyed them, along with the other cities and villages of the plain, wiping out all the people, every bit of vegetation. But Lot's wife looked back as she was following behind him, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Abraham got up early that morning and hurried out to the place where he had stood in the Lord's presence. He looked out across the plain toward Sodom and Gomorrah and watched as columns of smoke rose from the cities like smoke from a furnace. But God had listened to Abraham's request and kept Lot safe, moving him from the disaster that engulfed the cities on the plain. I'm going to be reading Genesis chapter 20, verse 18. For the Lord had caused all the women to be fertile because of what happened with Abraham's wife, Sarah.